Jasmine is logging in. Yes, I'm sorry, Miss
Oh
Gonzalez.
yeah. Can I get the Wi-Fi?
I mean, President Ewing, I'm ready.
Yes.
You okay?
Oh, I see. And it's gonna be my password that I use for. Got it.
All right.
We don't have trouble with it. Oh, okay.
Huh?
C1, C10, C9.
All right. We want to welcome you to the Waukegan Public School Board of Education. I'd like to call to order the March 14th, 2023 meeting, Board of Education meeting. If I can have a roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Present.
Miss Callahan Wozniak,
Here.
Mr. McBride,
Present.
Miss Gonzalez,
Here.
Miss Hannah, Miss Leguizamo, President Ewing.
Hello, we do have a quorum. All of our members, with the exception of Miss Leguizamo, are present. And so, with that, I would like, the board did meet in closed session under exception C1, C9, C10, C11, and C21. If I can now have a motion to go into open session,
So moved.
resume open session.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We are now back in open session. Ms. Polk, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you all. We now have the board president's report. All right, if we want to go to the next screen. Again, this is our mission and our vision, putting that there as a reminder for the community as well as the Board of Education. Next slide, please. Again, we want to affirm our unity of purpose, the unique role of public education, whereby each community collectively pools its resources for the common good through the education of its students. Next slide, please. These are the behavioral expectations. We want to start with the common belief that everyone does have good intentions, create a safe environment for the productive exchange of ideas, sincerely listen and seek to understand the viewpoints of others, solve problems through a collaborative process where all participants support the decision and actively work towards its implementation. Board members will adhere to our board protocols and hold each other accountable and support one another. The governance team will not disparage fellow members of the board. All right, next slide. I just want to very briefly touch on three scholarships total, but this is the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus Foundation Scholarship. They give up to $60,000 in scholarships. This information, I know we have tons of scholarship information, but this is one where they are accepting applicants through May 31st. So please get in. Then we also have our Congressional Black Caucus Foundation scholarships as well, and the deadlines and timelines are outlined there. Next slide. Organization that I'm associated with is giving out up to $80,000 worth of scholarships, and so I want to make sure that our students here locally take advantage of it. These are $5,000 scholarships, some $2,500 and some $1,500 scholarships, and that deadline is from March 10th until April 10th. Next up, and you can apply at bcu.org. I want to highlight TRIO Career and Internship Fair. This is for high school students. TRIO is a partner of the district, and they do excellent work. This will be held at the new, beautiful Lakeshore campus in the Eleanor Murkey Center. So I want to make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity stepping into success. Make sure that our students have things that they can do this summer, learning skills and internships or working. We want to make sure that they get exposure and opportunity. Next slide. I do want to, at this time, I know we have our Oakdale family that is in the room. Unfortunately, we have experienced another loss as a district. I feel like we've been saying that a lot. I mentioned it since the pandemic. And so if you guys will please stand with me for a brief moment of silence in honor of one of our educators. Okay. Thank you so much. You may be seated. One of the things when we talk about leadership has to deal with accountability, and we, as the board, are responsible for ourselves. However, we do have our board secretary, who also is the superintendent. One of the things I stated last board meeting was that as we prepare for at minimum one new board member, we want to make sure that as a board we leave this foundation set for whoever comes next. And one of those things is making sure that we timely approve our meeting minutes. As has been pointed out, we have not done that. And when looking at the number of meetings that were delayed, I was surprised and also disappointed. And so this is just a public acknowledgement that I will stay true to my commitment to make sure that every minute is done and approved. And I do apologize on behalf of the board that when it was originally brought, I did not jump on it sooner. It's because the expectation that it was being brought forward and being handled. At the end of the day, the Board of Education is responsible for itself. So I want to acknowledge that and reaffirm my commitment that these minutes will be done and they will be available. Again, we have taken steps forward to make our meetings much more accessible. You can watch them in their entirety on YouTube. It doesn't eliminate our statutory requirement. And so we want to make sure that we offer the opportunity for individuals to view our meetings verbatim online, but we also want to make sure that we approve our minutes and get them uploaded so that the community can access them in a timely manner. And we will make sure that we adhere to that timeliness moving forward. Safety and security is still a concern. I know as someone who has students in the district, as someone who is on the Capital Improvement Committee, that safety and security is a focus. One of the things that we are doing, and you guys will hear more about, is making sure that each school has secure entrances, which is currently not the way many of our schools are set up. We also want to make sure that incidents that are happening in the community, we're being responsive and reflective. And there was a situation which I know the high school communicated yesterday related to a fight that happened off of school property. And as we as an institution talk about what needs to happen, and I'm sorry, I sat with many people in this room as we talked about anti-violence dollars that were going to be coming into our community. There are organizations that were recipients of those dollars. There was money that was given so that we would be implementing these anti-violence efforts. And unfortunately, to date, none of these organizations have received a dime. And so what we need to do is make sure that we're working collaboratively to address the security concerns, is because as we know, what happens in our schools impact our community, and what happens in our community impacts our schools. And so what I will continue to do is striving to make sure that we have the resources that are needed in order to make sure that our students are safe, and that we improve our communication to make sure that stakeholders that feel we need to be more transparent see it in our actions. We do have our budget survey, which has been released, that I know Ms. Hannah sits on the budget committee, and I believe last year it was Mr. Riddle, or was it Ms. Leguizamo? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was Ms. Leguizamo.
Yeah.
So we are in that process now. This survey helps to guide the work of that committee, which includes community stakeholders, teachers, staff members, administrators. So we want to make sure parents, please do, that information is valuable. You can see how decisions are made related to the budget. We also have kindergarten registration, which has started. Parents, register early. Get it in now. Let's not wait till the last minute, because we know we do have different software, things that are supposed to make registration more manageable. But I also want to make sure if you can do it now, so we can make sure that there is a smooth start to the school year. And last thing I want to discuss relates to meeting expectations. At our last board meeting, we had a public speaker who came to the podium and used profanity directed at the superintendent and myself. When they did it, they talked about the fact that this is how students speak to staff members. Some students speak to staff members. While I 100% understand the sentiment, while we all want to be treated with respect, it's okay. You doing, Sir Ian? So we all want to make sure that we model the behaviors we want to see. The point is a valid one. Our teachers feel like they are dealing with a lot, but we should not necessarily mimic the behaviors of our students. We should be teaching them a better way. And the same way we want to be treated with respect, we should make sure we're treating others with respect. So what happened last week, it was unacceptable. Again, that's not ignoring what the point of the speaker's comments were, and that is that some of our students and our teachers really are under a lot of pressure and they need supports. That is something that has been of continuous conversation in our zero tolerance policy committee meetings. But I also had to make that very clear for the record, is we want to model the behaviors we want to see. And so I'm hoping that this meeting we will treat each other with civility and respect, and make sure that we're able to get through the work of the business in a way that is conducive. We have a student board member that sits right behind me. And so as the adults, we should be making sure that we are behaving in a way that we want our students to mimic. With that, this concludes our my board president time. And now we have probably my favorite time in the meeting is our student board member report.
Yeah, this is on. Okay. So hi, everyone. This is my third student report as of my time here at the Board of Education. As always, very excited to get my student board member report going. So yeah, let's get started. We go on to the next slide. As always, it always starts with an opening statement, old business, new business, community spotlight. Because of spacing, I didn't put comment section, but obviously board members, if you have any comments on anything that was done in this presentation, please let me know. Next slide. So my statement topic this time is about change and vision. There will always be a topic for my statements. Next slide, please. So a lot of people will remember this statement because this was a quote that I used in my inauguration speech. So the quote basically says, "Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness," which was quoted by Charlie Chaplin in his very first movie in which was talked, The Great Dictator, which I haven't watched it myself, but they say it's pretty good, even though it's black and white. But, you know, it's one of those very old movies from the 40s. So I chose this quote, one, because I did quote it in my inauguration speech, and this speech itself comes very close to my heart because this is one of those speeches that, just blown me away when I first heard it. And I feel like it has the sentiment of the students that we are all here for a common purpose. We are all here to fight for change and reason, and we are here to build a better district with any resources that we have. And I feel that any student believes that we could all work together to make a better district for all of us. And that's my opening statement. Next slide, please. Old business. Next slide. As always, I do want to talk about the Promotion and Retention Committee, which is headed by Dr. Nault. And as always, the objective is to review and propose a new promotion and retention policy for WPS 60, specifically policy 5215. And as always, the student view is that students at Waukegan High School, that students in high school, middle school, and elementary school levels need to be held accountable and be supported in their academic journeys. As always, that will be the view of the students. Next slide, please. So this is the principal and SBM talk. This was a meeting I had with Principal Abe a few weeks ago. And as always, our objective is to meet with Principal Abe and discuss and present issues that Brookside students have. I'm trying to plan myself having a meeting with Mr. Hill from Washington campus next month to at least to hear the student side at Washington. So we have that equity side on both campuses. Issues discussed as always was resource officers that we have on campus, which is a cop from the Waukegan Police Department. Had a really nice discussion about safety, about how we can make students not feel intimidated by having a cop at school. And she's there. Officer Angie, as she likes to be called, is a very nice person. I can highly recommend is a very nice person. And if any student is watching and sees her at Brookside, she says if you have any questions or just want to say hi, just come up to her. She's very friendly person. Other issue is bathrooms. Other issue other than that was the 10-10 rule, menstrual products, sexual protection items, and the transformation plan, what will I get to specifically in a few slides. Next slide, please. Okay, new business. Now this one's a really long one. I'm gonna try to go through this as fast as I can, but being able to tell y'all what I've been having. It's been a lot of meetings in the last 2 weeks. It's been a lot of meetings. Next slide, please. Okay, meeting with Nurse Myers, which was on February 28, 2023, a few weeks ago. This is Mrs. Nurse Myers is the Brookside lead nurse, and we had a discussion about student health, which focuses the physical and sexual health. Topics we discussed, as always, was period product concerns, sexual protection items, and sexual and health education. Next slide, please. Now I had a meeting with member Gonzalez on March 6, 2023. Objective to discuss the national issue of book banning and classroom curriculum. Items discussed on the meeting was book banning and culturally responsive curriculum.
And that is anti-book banning.
Anti-book banning. Let's make that clear. Anti-book banning is just that, people call it book banning, but not actual book banning, just anti-book banning, the idea of not banning books. Make that clear. This is with Mrs. Dobbs and Nurse Jackson, which is the nurse at Washington campus. Had a meeting with her, both of them on March 8th. Same thing, as always, with Nurse Myers, was to discuss physical health and sexual health that face Waukegan High School students. Obviously, issues that were discussed were the same with Nurse Myers. Period products, sexual protection, and sex and health education, K through 12. Next slide, please. Meeting with Mr. Weber, which is a social sciences coordinator. This was yesterday, actually. I remember this meeting. We had a little trouble trying to connect over Google Meets. It took us a while. But we totally had the meeting. Our objective is to discuss the social science curriculum at Waukegan High School, the WPS 60, and LGBTQ history. Items discussed, obviously, was the addition of LGBTQ history and the revamp of the curriculum, K through 12, global studies vision, and a collaboration over curriculum. Next slide, please. Meeting with AOEC and Washington High School principals. This was today during my lunch period. We discussed the transformation plan for Waukegan High School and the student view on it. Items discussed, obviously, was the transformation plan details, student activities in the high school that related to the transformation plan, and infrastructure questions that I personally had. Next slide, please. And the meeting that I had a few hours ago, I think it was like 4 hours ago, was with Superintendent Plasencia, which was obviously today. Discussion was the creation of a student advisory council. And discussed, obviously, was the superintendent council, tutoring program, and student ambassador program, which we're trying to figure out a way of implementing at Waukegan Public Schools. Next slide, please. Community spotlight. This is a little shorter. Military ball. This picture is of Diacur and David Munoz. These two are very lovely friends from JROTC. Dia is the drill team commander for unarmed. Very nice person. David Munoz is the S3 for 1st Battalion. Very nice guy too. And this is their walk-in to the ceremony for Military Ball King and Queen. And I'm just going to say, off the top of my head, Military Ball was amazing. It was a great experience. Principal Abe went to go talk for a little bit about Military Ball, its history and all that. So if any board members want to come next year as guests, go talk to Colonel Painter. Very nice experience. Next slide, please. Also, I'm going to talk about scholarships too. This is one scholarship that Member Gonzalez has shown me, which is the Immigrant Process Scholarship. Obviously, this scholarship program is for undocumented students at the high school level to gain about $1,000 to pursue college courses, trade school, and other workforce training programs. Applications are due March 31st at 5 p.m. I imagine that's standard time. So these are the requirements on there. If any students that are watching this and are interested, please email me. I will send the link and we'll put it on my Instagram page as a link there if any student also follows me on my Instagram page. Next slide, please. The Golden Apple Scholars, which, as we know, the Golden Apple Scholars is a program made for students that want to become teachers. Obviously, this is the time of year in which you could apply to become a scholar. Any student that wants to dream of being a teacher, please sign up. It's a great experience and would be very helpful for any student that wishes to become a teacher. Next slide, please. Student Ambassadors. This is one picture that I got on Instagram. Student Ambassadors is a program at Brookside that brings students that are 10th graders, one of the two, well, both actually, that come to Brookside, obviously, and there are middle school students from different middle schools and charter schools in the district to come and talk about what Brookside is all about, rules, regulations, where classrooms are, where the bathrooms are, where lunchrooms are, and specifically get a hang of what the high school experience is before they get here, because, better knowing than just coming in first day and be like, where do I go, right? I didn't go last time for some complications, but the next meeting for the student ambassadors to go show students is tomorrow, so if any board members want to go to Brookside and go see that, y'all can. Next slide, please. Prom 2023. Obviously, I'm not going to prom because I'm not a senior yet, but obviously any seniors and juniors I imagine that want to go. This is the theme, Let the Good Times Roll, which will be on May 6th, Saturday at 3 p.m., which apparently is going to be a dinner cruise, which I was very surprised by exactly, that you're on a cruise ship, it's like a ship, right? That's going over Lake Michigan and all that. I was very surprised by that, me specifically when I figured that one out. So if any seniors want to go, it's a cruise ship. I don't know what else to say. It's a cruise ship. Next slide, please. Q&A. That was the end of my presentation. Obviously, there was a lot more that happened in the district and community, but obviously I didn't want to make this presentation 3 hours long, so I added some the stuff that I saw through Instagram and the community itself, through students, parents, and all that. So if any board members now want to ask any questions about the presentation, they can, but if not, I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa, for your efforts. You've hit the ground running, and we are, and I do want to highlight him is because these student board members are not just for show. They have ideas, things that they want to implement, and even policy recommendations and changes. And so we will be having a discussion, or at least broaching the topic later, which is an idea directly brought forward by Mr. Hinojosa and support by Ms. Gonzalez. So thank you, and we appreciate your student board member report. We now are at Spotlight on 60. We had one spotlight that we were going to discuss, but due to the tragedy that I spoke to earlier, we still have our Oakdale family that are in the house. So if you're with Oakdale, if you guys want to stand up. We had students that came out. So briefly, instead of doing public comment, Miss Principal Catalina Keonis Nelson and the Oakdale family just wanted to take a moment to recognize our staff member. And then immediately following that, we have our college and career readiness department that will be presenting immediately following this presentation. So, Ms. Catalina Quiones Nelson. And I'm sorry, I always say your full name, Ms. Quiones Nelson. I'm sorry. But yes, please,
Yes.
for the people that are online, thank you so much.
Okay, I haven't sung in a while. Is it on? Is it on?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, not that I ever could sing. Well, this is not one of my most favorable times to come to the board. I want to say good evening to the community, good evening to the board members and Superintendent Placencia. There's definitely been happier times, and it is with great sadness that I stand before you today to talk about one of our newer teachers. She started in August. Her name is Caitlin Schaumburger, and she passed away recently on Friday. And it's very tough news, and I'm going to try to get through this without shedding a tear. We're all devastated by the passing of Ms. Schaumburger. She was someone that always came to Oakdale with a smile on her face and left with a smile on her face. She served our community with such honor. She wanted to be there each and every day. Her students grew so much having her as a teacher just from August until now. You know, I'm sure you'll see the scores that she had in that second grade classroom. I had to meet with the parents of those students, and there wasn't a dry eye in that library for that meeting. Every parent was mourning for Caitlin. You know why? Because Caitlin called those parents. Caitlin met with those parents. Caitlin built relationships with those parents. She loved those kids. She loved them. There was never anything negative that came out of her mouth. If she saw you, she would say something positive. I like your outfit, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. I mean, just a one-of-a-kind type of passion that comes, she was an angel. You don't meet many people like that. And it has affected everybody. Once the staff knew, again, not a dry eye in the house. The students found out in her classroom. And I want to thank, just a shout out to the crisis team that came out to help us during this time. And our crisis team here in Waukegan was one of my proudest days yesterday, working here. We had a slew of social workers and counselors that came out and talked to our kids, talked to our staff, and did so in such a professional way. Yeah, that shout out to them. Believe me, they know their job, they know their work, they are professionals. We know everyone loved Caitlin. I want you to know a little bit more about this beautiful person. Lee, if you could show some pictures. She was a colleague, she was a friend. She made us feel good. I would often get, this lady probably had, I probably have 100,000 texts or emails from her, because she would text pictures of her with the kids, send me text about what she could do. So here you see her with her, look at her beautiful group. So that's just one picture if you scroll up. Okay, if you stop there, so this was the party bus that we went out. But it was a good time. It was an innocent time, but even though it was all 21 and over. But she was there, and let me tell you, she can sing every lyric of Lizzo that there is. There she is with her team. She was very supportive with her team, and even the staff members would say she was the type of person that would push them. So she would hold them accountable, like, just go do your job, and I'll help you if you need help. If you scroll up a little bit more, there she is with her students. You'll see there she wants the next staff outing, because she's the life of the party, to be a drag brunch. If you scroll up, You'll see that she wanted the Waukegan Historical Society to come to her classroom. She was always looking for resources to help her students. Hold on. Wait, bring it down. So we have Portfolio Night coming out. She always wanted to do something special. She wanted a red carpet for her students. And you'll see here, if you scroll up, she wanted to thank for the support and feedback because she felt herself growing each and every day, and she finally realized her worth. She had that worth all the time. She didn't have to realize it. We all realized it for her. I met her mom. She was very supportive in coming to the school as well. Beautiful family. My heart goes out to that family. She was only 25 years old. So it's a really huge loss, and the ambassadors have been in the classroom trying to help the students process. So I'm going to have them read a little bit of what they have written in honor of Ms. Schomburger. This is Layla.
Good evening, Oakdale. Good evening, Waukegan Community Board members and superintendents. Today, in the honor of Mrs. Schomburger's life, I'm going to say some lovely things about her. She was a beautiful, intelligent, and kind person. She would always hype me and the ambassadors up. I really loved her smiles and how she would treat her kids like her own. When I went to her classroom, she was super nice. She was super kind to her kids. I hope she heard this up in the sky in a safe place. I love you, Ms. Schomburger. You will always be remembered.
This is Chloe.
Good evening, board members and superintendents and the Waukegan community. Ms. Schomburger always supported and cared for other people, and I miss her dearly. When I went to her classroom to help with community meetings, she always greeted me and the other ambassadors with a friendly smile, and it always brightened my day. When she saw me and the ambassadors anywhere, she always treated us like leaders, and I miss her. At the talent show, Ms. Schomburger was there to support her students and everyone that participated. She was so sweet and kind. We want to keep her family in our prayers and thoughts during this difficult time. She always had the compliments that cheered up your day. Thank you for listening.
Sorry. This is Gretel. I thought I was going to kiss you.
Hello, good evening. I have some words to say in the honor of Ms. Schomburger's life. Ms. Schomburger was always a great teacher. She would always greet us with a smile. She was a very loved teacher. Her students really miss her. We ambassadors really miss her too. I never saw Ms. Schomburger get upset or mad. We always saw her with a big smile. She would be so loving and caring. She was a very pretty teacher with her beautiful blonde hair and her blue eyes. Were so gorgeous. We miss her very much.
We have had a big outreach from her family, her friends. I feel like she was nationwide. You know, the news has put an article out on her. They've tried to reach out to us. All her friends have been emailing and, what can we do for Oakdale? What can we do for those students? We want to be there. So some of the things I want you to know that we're going to be doing is we're going to lay a brick in our retirement walk in honor of her name. We're also going to either plant a bush or a tree in honor of her. I'm asking that maybe, some of the staff thought maybe a Schomburger Award. So when kids do something or staff do something incredibly, it has to be really up here because Caitlin was way up here. So the criteria is, you have to be positive, you have to be giving, you have to, work hard. All those things will win you that Schomburger Award. We're also thinking of like a Schomburger Volunteer Day at the building once a year in honor of her, because that's one of the things that I've been coming to say is, what would Caitlin do? What would Caitlin do? and Caitlin would find a way to continue to give, and to continue to give to our Waukegan community and our Oakdale community. So in honor of Caitlin, God bless her, make sure you keep people like this in mind. They don't come by every day. So thank you all for listening. Keep Oakdale in your thoughts and prayers too, along with the Schomburger family, of course. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming and for that lovely tribute. Again, we are reminded of the importance of our teachers. With that, we do have our college and career readiness department who will provide a brief overview and introduction to the Board of Education and Community.
Hello, everyone. My name is Janae, and I'm one of the college and career managers. Cecilia is not able to be here today, but she is also a part of our department, and she did record a quick video. It's in the next slide. If you want to go to that, then I'll continue. Oh, it's really quiet. Is there? Yeah,
Mr. White is getting it.
But I just wanted to make this short video to introduce myself and just share with you a little bit about me. My name is Cecilia, and I am one of the college and career managers. I've been working with the district since November, and I'm honestly so privileged to be part of an awesome team that works, I think, tirelessly to provide our students and just share with them all the resources that are available to them and just provide them with some awesome experiences and opportunities. I was the first one in my family to graduate from college, and I think that that's something that has really shaped me. I had a lot of support through the process, thanks to teachers, my college counselor, and just community organizations that really provided me the support and the resources that I needed. And so that's really shaped why I do the work that I do, and why I'm so passionate about just being a support to students who are navigating this process of high school, college, post-secondary. And so I'm really excited for Janae to share with you all just some of the things that we've been able to do and accomplish in such a short period of time. And I'm really excited for what's to come and some of the amazing things that we're going to continue to do. Thank you.
So just to piggyback off of Cecilia's message, she did a great job of just wrapping up what our entire goal is, which is to just build a network of support for the students so that they're able to successfully navigate their post-secondary plans, whether that be college, whether that be straight into the workforce, trade school. We want to make sure that they have those options and that they're able to really get the information and resources to get to where they need to be. We have a major goal of just like creating stronger partnerships. We know that there's so many different organizations in the district that have the same goals as us, like TRIO, AVID, all of those local ambassadors as well that are here to help us. So we want to make sure we're connecting the dots so that we can have this collaborative effort to build this network for the students. If you want to go to the next slide. So just a few of the major things that we have been working on and focusing on this past few months. We both started in end of October, early November, so we haven't had much time, but we have accomplished, I think, a lot for what we have been given, the time that we've been given. So our major initiative is SchoolLinks, which has come to replace Naviance as our college and career readiness platform for the students. So on the aspect of the students, it encourages self-discovery, it encourages career exploration and college planning. And then as far as the staff goes, there is a collaborative effort there where you can access data, you can reach out to the students, there are community partners that can sign up for School Links as well. So overall, it is a really great platform that we want to make sure to start getting all of our district students involved in, and the staff as well, so that they can really use that to the best of their ability. And presentations, so that is something that we have started offering to our middle school and high school so far, but we do plan for this to eventually become something that is district-wide, where we go into the classrooms and we offer a few different topics like resumes, life after high school, how to pay for college, etc. Just different things that students may not have those resources for, just may want, you know, better information so that they can use that for whatever they need to contribute to their success. So we have had some teachers set up those presentations with us, and they have gone really well. We've gotten to be one-on-one and interactive and meet a lot of the students that way as well. And Greenlight Match is a new program that we've worked with the counseling department to set up for the seniors at Waukegan. It's essentially an app, but it is like an alternative college application. So the students are able to create a profile where they can share whatever information they feel is valuable. They can upload their transcripts, all of those details, and then match with colleges. And then they can get acceptance through the app, they can get scholarships through the app. So it is something that we think our students will benefit from, just to have that option that is alternative to the traditional method of applying to school. And the College Board Dream Deferred HBCU Conference is a conference that Cecilia, Yvonne, and I attended last week, and it just gave us a lot of networking opportunities with nationwide teachers and HBCUs, just to get really a lot of information on how to address issues within the African American communities, as far as like the students and how we can help them to be successful, how we can educate them on their history, and really prevent the things that we know are, you know, the issues like the paying for school and the access and all of those things. So it was a great experience for all of us, and I think we learned a lot that we can bring back to the district. So that's something that we're really excited to be able to do in the future as well. And the FAFSA completion, so we started working with our counselors as well, but we work with ISAC, which is the Illinois, the acronym
Some
is,
acronym, right?
Yeah, it's sending me, but basically they really, they're like the official help. They kind of come in and they know the details, and they give really expert advice as far as how to navigate the FAFSA, which is something that can be difficult for a lot of students and families, especially if they're first generation or immigrant status, or, you know, there's lots of details that go into the FAFSA. So we know that it's something that it's hard, and it looks really scary when it's you approaching it on your own. So we wanted to provide that support immediately, because at the end of last semester, I think our percentage of completion was 20%, which is pretty low for it to be this far into the school year. So we really wanted to build that, and thus far we've raised it to 30%. So we're still working. We have another session coming up March 22nd. So, and we also are helping students every day, anytime with that as well. So we just really had that as a major initiative for this year, something that we felt was urgent and important. And last on the list of updates is the dual credit program. So we wanted to, I know Yvonne was one of the reasons that we have the dual credit, so it's very important to her, and it has become important to us as well. So we have been working with the CLC representative to make sure she can get information to the students who are eligible and interested, get them registered, get them those opportunities. If you're not familiar, dual credit is basically a program that we have in connection with CLC, where the students are able to take a college-paced program where they take the class. It's fully college-paced. There's no it's not like AP where they are in a high school setting still, but they are able to get the high school credit and a college credit that can be transferred after school without having them, after high school, without them having to pay for it. So it is something that can be very beneficial, and we're hoping to eventually build out where that's available to all of the students in the district. And at a large scale, we could eventually have students who are graduating high school with an associate's degree. So that's something that is very important to us as the College and Career Readiness department. And the next slide.
We're doing this in style.
Sorry, so we have some videos just from, like, we had a college fair today, the Hispanic College Fair, and that's the video here on the left side.
Right.
So
Depending on
we
where
had
you
a
look
great
at.
turnout. We brought out students from other schools as well, so we had a lot of opportunity there. And also, Yvonne and Cecilia had the chance to take some students, I think it was like almost 100 students, to the Teen Summit in Milwaukee, which was at the auto show, and they got to just experience that environment as well as see how things are done, I guess, under that automotive and I don't know what to call it, but like with the cars and building and how those things go. So I think that they had a great time. I know Yvonne and Cecilia really enjoyed it as well. But that's what the videos are. Sorry I interrupted them. And then if you want to go to the next slide. Yeah. So upcoming events that we have, we do a Future You, that's what we call it. It's office hours, and so we do the office hours every Wednesday for Washington campus from 3 to 4:30. Students can come in and get help or just hang out. We've had a lot of students that just come every week and do homework or just get to know us, so it has been nice. And we also have started to be at Brookside on Mondays during lunch periods as well. And then next we have another FAFSA completion session that I mentioned for March 22nd. And then we have our overnight college tour coming up, which we're going to take 35 students to Knox College, SIUC, SIUE, and Eastern Illinois over spring break. So that's something that we've been really excited planning, and we're happy to be able to give those students that opportunity to visit schools. So this is just our social media. We like to post what we're doing there, any community events that we know about that we can share, and just any opportunities for the students. And I mean, I don't know if I have a Q&A, if you have it, but.
Real brief, if there are questions, we wanted them to talk about everything that they're doing, the great work. I know these individuals just started, Jasmine and Cecilia, this year, but they hit the ground running, and it's been very impressive to see everything that they've been able to achieve in the short period of time, and their accessibility for our students, and even their commitment to the community. These are two Waukegan graduates that know firsthand what it's like going to Waukegan High School and making sure that they're providing opportunities to improve circumstances for our students and make sure that they have access to resources and opportunities. So Ms. Hannah had a question, and then we'll continue. Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
Okay, the over spring break, where do you sign up students to?
So
And
we actually are full.
oh,
I know. We've been actually putting out information for it for a while, like this whole semester. So I think we filled our last spot today.
oh,
But if we have any openings, we have a part of the requirement, since we are covering everything and we're bringing the students, we wanted to meet with the parents. So we do have a parent meeting tomorrow. So maybe if we have any spots that are not going to be filled after that meeting, I can get you that information.
okay.
But as of right now, we have filled all the spots.
Okay,
So.
and my second question, the dual credits, I think our school district, we've had one student so far, and I'm looking to expand that, where we graduated
With the
high school
associates?
and with an associate.
Yeah, so we definitely are working on building out the program. Obviously, there's just stepping stones to getting to where we want to be. But having met with the CLC representative, who also is a Waukegan High School graduate, so she's very passionate about the district as well. We do want to get to that point where we can offer, starting even in 9th grade, those classes so that they can build out to be able to graduate with the dual degree.
That's what I was going to ask. They
yeah,
would have
because I
to
do
start.
know about the student that had done it, and she actually took a lot of initiative on her own as well. So it's something that we want to make sure we're able to offer them fully so that they don't have to do that.
Right.
So it is a work in progress, but we are on the same page. We definitely want to get to that point.
Okay, and starting in freshman.
Eventually, yes, we would like to start there.
Yeah.
But right now, it is available to 11th and 12th.
So maybe at the end of the year,
10th,
with more
12th.
information and other individuals, we can come back and get an update of where our dual enrollment
Yeah.
stands, because we do want to make sure students are taking advantage of that.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, my first board meeting was the last meeting, and so I did have the idea. I was like, I would like to come up maybe every so often and just give an overview of what we're doing. So we definitely can keep in touch, and I'll be back to let you guys know what we have going on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you coming out
Thank
tonight. Thank you. All right, we do have 2 sets of minutes from July 6, 2022 through approval of the minutes of open session from November 22nd, 2022. If there are no arguments, I'd like to take these 2 items together.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Items A and B. Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments, questions to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We now have our consented, public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium. I will call multiple names. We did have students that had signed up, so some of these names have already left. I will ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you will get a total of 6 minutes. One of the things I mentioned even in my opening remarks is we talked about civility, and so I am going to put that reminder on the table. First names on the list are Janice, and I want to say it's Hay, Haye. Yes,
sir. Okay.
Perfect. So Ms. Hay, if you want to come up to the microphone, and then immediately following we have Ben Grimes, Christine Linsing, and Kershana Hanna, in that order. All right, Ms. Hay, whenever you are ready.
Felix, this is just a short, I just wanted to show the short video so that we can get this information out of how serious multiple myeloma is.
And she's going to talk about multiple myeloma and some symptoms and some of her experience with this dreadful disease or cancer. So, Dr. Hasmo, please.
So we're asking for your sponsorship.
So multiple myeloma is a disease, a cancer of the plasma cells that are normally cells that protect you and make antibodies that fight infection, bacteria and viruses that we're exposed to. But sometimes these cells become cancerous and start making abnormal proteins that can actually harm your cells and cause anemia and cause destruction of your bones and kidney disorders and kidney failure. And so recognizing this disease early helps save people a lot of comorbidity and help save lives if we catch it early. So making sure that people are aware and thinking about this when they're told they have kidney issues or they're anemic, so that we start to get people in and screen them for multiple myeloma very early. It's really important. Multiple myeloma affects about 200,000 people in the United States, and the life expectancy has improved vastly over the last 20 years due to research that's really improving the quality of life that patients who have multiple myeloma are experiencing. And now the life expectancy has moved from about 2 to 3 years back about 20 years ago to up to 6-7 years and sometimes more. So we're excited that the research has really helped save a lot of our patients and make their quality of life better so that they can live with this disease with reasonable quality.
Yes, so just tell me about the research funding. This is where my organization will come in. We want to support research funding. We're asking for sponsors and doing fundraisers. So how does that apply with the research?
So research in oncology is so important. You know, we come up with new drugs. A lot of the things that we had back, years ago were chemotherapy, where people would lose their hair and get very sick. And now we have pills that people can take and injections that very minimal to few side effects. And the only way we can get that kind of advancement in the care for patients is through research. And so the more we can get folks to participate in clinical trials and get the funding to help them, that's the way that we make advancements in medicine. And this is a field that, we really need to improve the quality of life for patients and make this disease bearable.
Very good. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I did want to tell everyone that Janice she's going through multiple myeloma herself, so that's why she wants to bring awareness to that. She is someone in the community that you guys can always reach out to for questions regarding multiple myeloma. And
yes, and also we need your sponsorship. Thank you so much. This is why I need you to sponsor our organization. That's all it is. Thank you.
Whenever you start speaking, Mr. Grimes, your time will begin.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to give a couple of updates. One was something that happened today over at Washington campus. I had a beautiful opportunity to meet our board president over there. Frank Vasquez, our retired counselor, and I were talking about the old days and things that we had done that really, really worked. And Brandon and I go way back. 2008, Dr. Hamlin came aboard. We formed a faith council as a result of sending out 50 letters to the tri-community of Waukegan, North Chicago, Zion. 6 responded. From that, we formed a faith council. Brandon, his dad, and others were steadfast. It wasn't just faith-based. It was United Way, library, et cetera, et cetera. But today we were over at the Washington campus really talking about things that work from like Frank's perspective, all the countries that are represented, what we were doing, and so on and so on. Something that happened, it was on a negative point. Today, I happened to meet with WOW and BAM. They wanted help. They want to involve, let's say, 20 more kids. They want them to intern at certain places. So I told them about Miss George, our assistant principal over at Brookside. Her dad, Reverend Atwater, is over there. He could help. I chair the board for the Salvation Army. I can help. We have Rick, and we have the Lions Club, et cetera, et cetera. But I was very disappointed one day last week when the head of our social work department came over, and my frat brother Whit from BAM, I introduced him to her. He wanted help. They are not necessarily prepared to deal with a lot of the issues that our students are going through, and they need help. It's a voluntary program, and they're very, very serious about it. So we're going to help, and we're going to do a lot of positive things. And it was one of the things I want to say before I go. I went to Historical Blight College, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Princess Anne, Maryland, and we were required to take Air Force ROTC as freshmen. We all had to go to church on Sunday, and other things were required. Now, with the ROTC program last week, it was amazing. If you have been there, I guarantee you, those students, total line, you wouldn't need safety, you wouldn't need a lot of things. So that's something we might want to consider. I know it's an alternative now, but if we required all our freshman students to take ROTC, you would see a world of difference. They would have to total line, wear the uniform, conform. But there's so many positive things that can happen. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can go back historically. And on that, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Whenever you start speaking, Ms. Lindsay, your time will begin.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, district staff, and community. My heart and condolences go out to those who lost their teacher, their friend, their family last week. I'm here tonight to speak on the HR department, the same department that we heard on January 17th that needs to be looked at end to end. Mr. Harris was very clear in recommending it is a great thing to do, and as I quote, there's opportunities as it relates to competence, capability, and capacity. And while his context was relating to the pay structure for employees of this district, I'm going to extend that to assessing what is appropriate for the interpersonal expectations of district employees. I will hopefully paint a clear picture that brings you concern of what is happening in our schools without mentioning names. Imagine a young student in our district early in their years of learning self-regulation. So a kindergartner, first or second grader is your child. Your child comes home and tells you that in class, the teacher, without using their words to redirect you, grabbed your child's arm, dragged them out from underneath a table, and pushed them toward the door. Your child demonstrates that they tried to resist the teacher's pushing, and the teacher pushed more. Once outside of the classroom, the teacher tells the student something along the lines of, "You don't want to be in my class, go find somewhere else," and closes the door, leaving the child crying. As a parent, what would you do? What would you feel? What are your expectations of what happens next? You bring this information to your principal, your area superintendent, and they get to work investigating the situation. When you are contacted by the head of HR, you are told that the teacher loves your student and was well-intentioned in their actions. They want to issue only a verbal warning for closing the door on a student, leaving them effectively unsupervised. The grabbing, pushing harder, and harmful words that your child experienced are of no concern to the HR director. And after returning from recruiting in the Philippines with no notice to those with open cases, they imply they are ready to close the issue. What, as a parent, do you do next? Raise it to the superintendent that fails to garner trust with staff, parents, and community members of this district? Raise it to the board, doubting something will be done about the culture of this district? The only people working hard to ensure this is appropriately addressed are the first two individuals you contacted, and they are swimming upstream. Because of this same scenario, if this same scenario were to happen in any affluent community, I'd like to know if any other HR director would handle it with such negligence. These are core memories being built. What will their future attitude and interpersonal skills look like if we educate them in a climate that says this is okay? My teacher can grab me and say I should find somewhere else. This is normal. They are right. I don't want to be here. This is unacceptable, and we deserve better.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Whenever you start speaking, your time will begin, Ms. Hannah.
So my name is Kershana Hannah, and I'm coming to the board to speak about some issues that were brought to me, and they're very kind of disturbing. I don't like coming to the podium at all, but I don't like coming to the podium at all with negative things. But the district has this saying, if you see something, say something. It was brought to me by several of the safety officers that work within our district, and we all heard about the fight with the two pairs that were in the school in the hallway that were recorded fighting. That was unacceptable. But what led to that was even more disturbing, that one of the paras that was involved in this altercation took some concerns about the other para to an admin. The admin in turn turned around and went to the person that this was about and told them. When this para came from the bathroom or wherever she was coming from, she was attacked. How can we expect the teachers and staff to see something and say something, knowing that confidentiality was breached? It's very disturbing. So not only did this lady take her issue to a higher authority, like you guys say, use the chain of command, right? Not only that, she was attacked. and then she lost her job. Unacceptable. That's something that needs to be looked at. The next thing I would like to talk about is there was an email that was sent out from the principal of Brookside campus. It was disgusting. It was condescending to students. It was saying that the students had, there was no leeway to be late or anything. Well, the bathrooms aren't even open in the classroom, in the school. So they may have to go from one end of the school to the other, and God forbid females having to go and handle female problems. It's unacceptable. It was disgusting. The last thing I would like to talk about is something that the board needs to address with their superintendent. It was brought to my attention that the superintendent is not only campaigning for people to be on the board, she's calling and asking for donations, which I've never heard of that as long as I've known a superintendent. How can you be non-biased when you're campaigning for somebody to be your friend on the board? You guys need to address that, the board and the attorney.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Next four names are Randy Sabecki, Ray Vukovic, and then it just has Jennifer.
Good evening, everybody. I got some good news tonight. So we talk about, we look at the test scores, and we talk about let's find solutions to help our students, right? So by an act of God, they must have been listening. One of my coworkers actually delivered to a spot, and he overheard the managers there talking and said, "Oh, we'll just get rid of them. They don't want them back. Just throw them away." So he found out what they were, and then came back and let me know the next day. And I drove over there and I talked to the business that it was at. Luckily, they still had them. They didn't throw them all away. So I asked if they can give them to us and for the students. So he said absolutely. So on behalf of myself, Christine Lenzen, and Krishana Hanna, we were given 900 of these flashcards for our students. And we'd like to work with the school and get these distributed so these get in the kids' hands, starting with our most underperforming schools for the students for math. Each one of these cases have addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication flashcards in them. And I have 900 of them in my garage. So we would like to donate them to the school for the students. That's all I have tonight. And we did bring one for each one of you so you can brush up on your math skills.
Thank you, Mr. Sabecki. And thank you for that donation, Superintendent. I'm sure somebody will coordinate receiving those. Mr. Vukovic, you were next on the list. And then just remember the order was Jennifer, Diane, Braga, and then we have Sir Ian. Yes. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Vukovic.
Yes, good evening. When I'm done talking tonight or when other members of the public are done speaking, I'll be leaving, but that doesn't mean I'm not interested in the meeting. I do go home and watch it. We watch it on YouTube and are very aware of what's going on. At your last meeting, you had two items under number 13, had to do with the high school, and there was, let me get this out just a minute, approval of high school assistant principal benefits. And there was a long conversation with that, and all of a sudden it was tabled and going to be discussed at the next meeting. It's not on tonight's agenda. Should be there under old business. I hope this item will be coming up and discussed in the future at a public meeting and not just a little fairy dust sprinkled on it and swept under the carpet. A few years ago, under this superintendent, you had a principal that was reprimanded for spending money hiring some teachers to work the lunch duty, and there was a big deal made about that. Most of you were on the board at the time, and now, if we're going to have rules, we have to have rules for everybody. So I hope that comes back out. The next item was number 13C, had to do with the settlement. The next day I went and filed a FOIA, as I do every time you have a settlement. And I did get the FOIA back, and the name was redacted, and it's according to Illinois law, in that point, you don't put the employee's name because of an EEOC complaint. However, at the meeting, at the end of the or at the end of that comment, the board president stated the former employee's name. So you're afraid that a member of the public might do something with it, but you lit the fuse yourself by saying that. And as far as the acknowledgement about the minutes, you're welcome. For a year, I've been telling you about this. I've been coming to this board. I've had to file 2 complaints with the Illinois Attorney General's office. And you all just kind of sit there and, board president has acknowledged it. I've heard some rumblings from some people saying, oh, there he goes again. But it's the law. That's the rules. That's how, you can go look at it on YouTube, but you might have a grant, you might have a bond issue, you might have something that they require the minutes of the meeting, and it's August, and you're all on summer break, and you can't approve minutes. You may lose a grant. So, again, you've got 2 employees. Both of them are responsible for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovich.
Is it okay if we kind of switch the rotation?
Right now we have Miss Diana Viagra for the record, or how would you like it? You want Jennifer first?
No. Is that okay if we switch it up a little bit? Because it should be Jennifer, Diana.
Yeah, I had Jennifer
Oh,
first,
okay.
so you want to go now?
Yeah,
right?
and then
All
Sir
right.
Ian, and then we'll have
Jennifer last.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Go
One in
ahead,
the middle, we'll figure it
Miss
out.
Viagra. Whenever you're ready, your time will begin.
Stand with me. You got us. Hold on. Take My Harmony, Chicago. Maybe you want to come over here. No. You want to come right here?
Can we restart? Yes. Thank you.
My Harmony, Chicago. Okay, hold on. Let me get my paper. Harmony, Chicago. Yeah, he likes to take Harmony to Chicago, y'all. Okay. So, good evening, everybody, school board, the council, school board members, President President Brandon Ewing, and everybody, Waukegonites. My name is Diana Bayerga. I'm the mother of Sir Ian Leroy. He is an awesome 8th grader. And on April 2nd, we are going to light it up blue. The partner, the Waukegan Public Library is sponsoring this event. I had this vision to create awareness and enhance awareness for autism in the community. We're going to have some food. I'm just going to read the flyer real quick. Light It Up Blue Autism Awareness Fundraiser, hosted by Diana Bayerga, resident advocate and mom, on April 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m. Join us for food, drinks, raffles, and a student art show. Local support groups and social service agencies will also be on hand to share information. There's no admission for this great cause. The funds raised will be used to create an accessibility collection of learning materials and sensory-friendly tools. It will also allow us to remodel a kids' meeting room into a friendly chill zone for students and families. So like a sensory room, a chill zone where they can have a space to just be free and be themselves. For many years, I'll just share a little bit of my story with Sir Ian. I know everyone is pretty much, know Sir Ian, love him to life. He's a great young man. He is thriving very well. Shout out to Mr. Eduardo Cesarios. I love you, Dr. Eduardo Cesarios. You're very always hands-on whenever I reach out, and I appreciate you for that. Sir Ian is what his IP would read nonverbal, but he does have words, and the library has been a place where he goes, and they know him, the staff, Mr. Patrick. They have a great new director, Miss Tiffany, awesome lady. Miss Jennifer has been knowing us for years, along with some other team members, Ruby, who used to actually be his para in the special recreational camp. So this is a great cause. I know I emailed it to you, Mr. Brandon. I send it. I would really love for you guys to come out, show your support. And again, all the proceeds are going to be going right back into the public library for people and persons with autism so that they can use these materials on loan. Some of these items are a little expensive, and I know for me and Sir Ian and I'll buy something. He might be interested, he might not. And autism is different for everybody. You know, it doesn't look the same. Like, just because you know a person, one child with autism, you really just know that one child. It's different. It's a big spectrum. As Sir Ian's doing great, you see, sometimes he got up, you know, he had a little bit of words, outbursts, but it's okay. They're part of the community. And when we're able to know what it looks like, we can be more compassionate as a community and you know, let them know that they're welcome and not, you know, maybe be staring or thinking, hey, what's wrong that child, he's like inappropriate. No, it's a sensory overload, and it can be a number of other things. So I appreciate you for hearing me out. And now, come on, it's your turn.
Next name is Sir Ian Leroy.
All right. Wait. Oh, this is supposed to be my speech. Okay, here you go. Oh, wait, first of all, what is your name?
Join us on
What is your name?
Sir Ian,
How old are you?
40 years old.
What school do you go to?
Oh,
What's the name of your school?
I go to school.
What's the name?
What's the
Is
name?
it Soaring Eagle or Keshet?
The Soaring Eagle.
No, what's your new school?
New school. Keshet.
Yay.
Keshet School.
Yes. Do you like the school?
Yes,
or no?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, go ahead.
Join us on April the 2nd to light it up blue. Let's celebrate together. P.S. I don't have a disability. I have a different ability. Everybody, let's put your hands together and clap. Hooray!
All right, now say thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Mr. After's on distracted.
Well, autism affects estimated
in the United States. Some characters of a person with the autistic differences what expressed in extracted connection, challenges and social success. Inside, three, in some kids, might see a person respects it and ready behavior.
But it's okay.
Okay.
But it's okay.
Right.
Because we all matter, right?
Yeah. Now, if you are the you are for me, you promise to be. Yeah.
All right. So he's come a mighty long way. Any of you all lovely people, I mean, Miss Catherine, there's many of you all who have watched Sir Ian grow, even in the audience. He's come a mighty long way, and it takes a lot of factors from the library, school, teachers, administrators, community, church members, bus drivers, people at Jewel, the people through the drive-through, and we just have to keep on advocating for all children. Again, it's not just about Sir Ian, it's about all the children, obviously inspired by my son, and for me, I'm just going to keep on, keeping on and fighting this good fight for children, their education, love, spread love, peace, and joy, and that's just the main thing. All right, so now Miss Jennifer.
Can I say something, please?
Very briefly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know what? I just want to say he has come a long way. And I also would like to give kudos to an advocate of yours that helped you with this.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Shipley.
Dr. Harleen Shipley, and would love to give her accolades in your journey with your son, Sir Ian. Yes.
Dr. Harleen Shipley, Dr. Waddell Kirkwood, and Shira Schwartz have all three been major pieces in my son's, active advocating with me. So yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Ms. Jennifer, if you will state your full name for the record.
Jennifer Cordova.
Cordova, I knew that. All right, and if whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cordova. I am the Communications and Community Outreach Manager at the Waukegan Public Library. We are really thrilled to have this event in partnership with Diana here at the library. We're going to start a new strategic plan, and one of those is having more accessibility to all in Waukegan. So we really hope you can come out. Diana will be passing around flyers, and it does come in our newsletter right here. Something I want to talk to everyone about is the Library Plus Connect Lake County. I don't know if anyone knows, but Connect Lake County, we are partnering with them to distribute devices that the library received with grant funding. Chromebooks, laptops, and tablets are available for free for those who qualify and do not have a computer at home. So everyone in Waukegan, all you need is a library card, and you can have a tablet, laptop, or Chromebook with internet hookup for free at the library. Connect Waukegan is at the library on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 1 p.m. and on Wednesdays from 3 to 5. All you need is your library card, and it is free of service. We hope you can all join us on Sunday, April 2nd from 5 to 8. Diana will be passing out flyers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next names in order are Luz Granda, Jermel Pope, Anthony McIntyre, and Saul Corrales. Yeah, for sure. So they're leaving stacks of the flyers in the back for anyone who wants to grab it on that table. All right, if we can get 6 minutes on the clock to allow for translation. And Ms. Granda, whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
So I'm going to be reading, she's going to be reading parts of the letter in Spanish.
Can we
and then
restart,
I'll be
please?
Interpreting in English.
Mr. White, sorry, they haven't begun yet. She
Sorry.
was just giving us...
No he empezado a hablar y ya llevo ahí.
I haven't started yet.
Ah, ya.
Okay, you changed it.
Ok, buenas noches, señores miembros de la Junta Escolar de Waukegan Public School. Esta noche estoy aquí para traer ante ustedes algunas preocupaciones, las cuales se enfocan a la deficiente comunicación que tenemos los padres en la escuela John Lewis Middle School, de parte de los administradores.
And if we want to now allow the translation, go ahead.
Good afternoon, members of the School Board of Waukegan. Tonight I am here to bring forward to you some worries which focus on the deficient communication that we have here with the parents in the school John Lewis Middle School on behalf of the administrators.
Okay. En este manual de derechos y responsabilidades de padres y estudiantes, en la página 18 dice, la expectativa del administrador, notificar inmediatamente si existe una condición de seguridad o salud que afecte al estudiante en la escuela. El día 8 de marzo de 2023, la escuela tenía una amenaza que causaría daño a la escuela.
Okay. So in the Parent and Student Handbook of Rights and Responsibilities on page 18, it says, the expectation of the administrator to notify immediately if there is a condition that exists that could affect the health or the security of the student. In the school, on March 8, 2023, the school had a threat that would have caused harm to the school.
La misma amenaza teníamos en la escuela Brookside, pero la principal nos notificó un día antes, lo cual me parece muy correcto. Pero en John Lewis Middle School no lo hacen. Ellas nos notificaron hasta el final del día escolar. Aún así, yo mandé un email a todos ustedes que están ahí sentados y a las principales y ellas no respondieron.
So the same threat was received at the Brookside campus, and the principal there did notify a day beforehand, which I think is correct. But at John Lewis Middle School, they did not notify us until the end of the school day. And even then, I did send out an email to all of you sitting up there, as well as the principals, and they did not respond.
La única persona que me respondió hoy fue la señora Tepe. Y yo les pregunto a todos ustedes, ¿qué importancia tiene este manual para ustedes? Ya que ustedes lo aprueban. Yo cumplo con las expectativas. Mis hijos cumplen con las expectativas. Pero ¿qué pasa con los administradores?
Okay. So the only person that responded was Ms. TP. And I do ask all of you, what importance is this manual for all of you, since you are the ones that approve it? I meet the expectations. My children meet the expectations. But what is going on with the administrators?
Esto no tiene sentido, ya que en este manual sus principales de las escuelas también tienen expectativas y no las cumplen. No tengo claro realmente si este libro importa.
So it doesn't make sense. Don't give this handbook if the principals are not meeting with the expectations. And it's not clear to me if this handbook really is important.
Tampoco quiero también agregar que el señor S tampoco respondió mi email. Y probablemente digan, si a la señora no la complacen, se enoja. Pues claro que me voy a enojar porque yo estoy preocupada por la escuela.
And I would also like to add that Mr. EC also did not respond to my email. And you are probably asking, so if the woman or if the missus is not happy, it would bother her. Well, of course it would make me mad because nobody is listening or taking into account this book.
Creo que una buena comunicación hacia los padres hace la diferencia en los estudiantes y mejora muchas cosas.
I think that the good communication with the parents makes all of the difference with the students, and it makes things a lot better.
Yo quiero lo mejor para los estudiantes y estoy cansada de ver todos los días peleas en Young Middle School. Me gustaría que ustedes me expliquen cuál es su función de ustedes y para qué ustedes están representando a la comunidad.
So I do want the best for all of the students at John Lewis Middle School. I'm very tired of seeing all of these fights that are going on, and I would like to ask for all of you to explain to me what is each of your function and what are you representing to the community of Waukegan Public Schools.
Y por favor, a las dos personas que me dijeron que yo les hago un bully cuando yo les mando un email, yo no les hago bully. Yo estoy preocupada. Y también no me diga que usted no tiene miedo de que yo venga aquí.
And also to the two individuals that responded to my email saying that I am bullying. I am not bullying. I am only worried. Perdón, ¿cuál fue la última parte?
Que no me digan que ustedes que ustedes no les da miedo que yo venga aquí a poner mi comentario.
And to not tell me that you are scared of me coming here to make a public comment.
Thank you. Time.
Gracias. Thank you.
This is really important. I know I'm out of order, but just real quick, like 1 minute, not even. So we're accepting artwork from any of the children on a diverse level in the schools. So like I said, if they want to turn it into the Waukegan Public Library, there's a number there. So any educators, if your children in a special education department have any artwork, they could turn it in. Okay.
Sorry, thank you. It's important, but I want to be respectful of everybody else's time. And I'm sorry, the Jamel Pope was next, then Anthony McIntyre and Saul Corrales. And Mr. Pope, whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
All right. I had a little speech to put together, but I decided not to read it. I'm coming to the board on behalf as a guardian of James Doherty. Situations keep
And
coming.
I apologize. We haven't started time. I forgot to mention, I asked that we do not mention student or staff names. I know that
Okay.
this is your student, but I wouldn't mention his name, or if you could refrain from mentioning the student name for privacy reasons.
Well, I'm on
Thank you.
behalf of my nephew. I'm coming because it has come to my attention several times where the safety officers at the facility are not using their CPI training as they're supposed to use when handling escalated situations. They're not de-escalating situations. On behalf of my nephew, where he was choked and picked up off the ground and then slammed to the ground by 4 different officials of your staff, kind of made me kind of feel like he's 120 pound, less than 120 pound individual. Why did it take 4 people to choke him and slam him to the ground and escalate the situation further after it had already been de-escalated and he had already calmed down and was already in the office under the supervision of those staff members, but he still was choked and slammed to the ground, and yet and still was expelled from school and moved to another school for the purpose of the incident that happened that they escalated him to do. On top of that, with the CPI training that they're giving, I was questioning the principal about it, and she herself at the time admitted that he was lifted off the ground, at the same time would not give any reprimand to the individual that did it, or wouldn't give any statement to it in the fact that they did it for the assistant principal to do that. And that's why I come to these meetings, because normally I don't come to these board meetings, but when it involves my nephew being slammed to the ground, it's better me come here than me talking to myself, because I feel that it's very disrespectful for you to take a 120-pound boy and slam him to the ground, especially when it's my nephew. So on behalf of that and on behalf of his other guardian, his auntie, I came up here to tell you guys that you guys need to investigate the situation. You need to look into the situation further and stop just throwing it under the rug, because these kids are being hurt in school. Because individuals are getting upset, not just me as a parent, but other parents are getting upset of their kids being beat down by safety officers supposed to protect them. And if they can't get protection, then what's the point of them being there if they're not being protected? So I'm asking you guys to investigate situations like this further in order to discipline those or reprimand those or get rid of those that are doing these actions, because these actions are ridiculous. There's no reason for kids to be beat down when they have enough problems dealing with things on the streets at home. And as far as my nephew's concerned, he was dealing with something that the school wouldn't even help him with counseling with, even though we filled out the paperwork to help. His mother passed last year, right before the school year started. We asked for help. There was no help given. The paperwork was filling out. No help was given. So why are these programs put in play and money given to these programs if they don't give any help? Like, we're just waiting on a chance for someone to help. If the school says they wants to help, then let them help. If you're not going to help, then tell us you're not going to help. Don't just sit there and lie to us every board meeting or every newsletter you put out and tell us that you're going to do something. Because eventually parents are going to stand up for their own kids, and that's not going to be good for the school board at all. So I'm asking y'all respectfully to look into these situations.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Pope.
very much.
Yeah.
I am the advocate for the student that you guys were just hearing about. The situation with this kid is just insulting. It's just bad. To have a person who has his mother die at a very early age and to get no supports in the school is sickening. It's not okay. It seems like there's a picking and choosing of those who receive assistance, and it's not okay. I tend to hear a lot these days about how strongly I advocate on behalf of these students. If I was an attorney, they probably would call me a staunch advocate, and it would be a compliment. But for whatever reason, as I advocate on behalf of students, I'm the boogeyman. Well, it's going to be a lot of nightmares because I'm not going to stop. It's the right thing to do. The kids need the advocates. In the wealthier communities, these are just normal things to have happen. On another subject, because Mr. Pope spoke very well, so I don't need to go too much deeper into it. There seems to be an attack on black women in this school district, staff members. I feel it. I'm not just talking off the top of my head right now. It's coming to me from more and more black women in the district who feel under attack, unappreciated, disrespected. And if I happen to be the person that they come to speak on their defense, to speak on their behalf, I'm going to do it. For those people who mistake me as the person who only speaks for students, I don't care who it is. If you come to me with a problem and you don't feel like your voice is being heard, I'm going to speak up. That's not just specific to black women. Right now, I'm talking about black women across this district. School teachers, doesn't make a difference to me. Social workers, safety officers, whoever you are. There is an undercurrent in this district. There are people who are sick and tired. I don't know if y'all could hear what Mr. Pope was just saying. There are people who are sick and tired. And at what point in time does this board recognize that this starts at the top? This is an election season right now. We have 3 board members up for their seats. Well, Ms. Wozniak isn't coming back by choice. And we need to address this. So I'm telling you, the current culture in this district starts with the superintendent. Because it seems like everybody else is following her lead. And I just wonder when you all will pay attention.
Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you.
Mr. Corrales. Whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
How y'all doing? My name is Mr. Corrales. I'm here to represent my kid. I've been having a lot of issues. I already raised the bar with the superintendent in Brookside campus about safety concerns. You know, we told about it. Next week happens, that same month. People are getting flagged down. You can't drop your kid off here. They got cops on the road on Brookside. It's scandalous, you know, but I let them know. Anyways, I had an issue, same issue with a security guard. I asked for a video. My son was in it. Got treated a certain way in passing period. Go this way in passing period, right? Got treated a certain way. These security guards, you know? It's like, and then I go up to them, take the time out of my day, come to the Lincoln Center, try to talk to the superintendent again. You know? Try to do things the right way sometimes, you know, but things ain't working. But anyways, now that I got their attention, I'm gonna go off subject a little bit. There's a lot of things going on around here. We're being attacked in a lot of certain angles. Ain't no more COVID no more. So what they gonna use next? They're gonna shut the school down? They got lockdown, right? Schools get locked down, kids can't even have the time to ask the girl for a prom date. Hey, get a class, let me see your ID. You know, where's the social? They talk about all these programs, all this stuff, you know, all this money that they wanna come in. But ain't nothing happening. Why? Because the kids don't wanna come to school. Look in the morning, how long that line is. Look like a concentration camp. Sad, right? Okay, what are they teaching? Wonder what they teaching in China, right? TikTok, right? Different over here, huh? Wanna take it out. Why? Because it's exposing everything. It's not because they want it, because they got our information. They already know who we are. They exposing them. At the same time, my conclusion, not every kid's gonna graduate. Not every person's gonna go to heaven. Because there's a choice that we got in life. Everybody wants to pray and say things. We've seen sad things today. Things get real when somebody passes away. I'm here alive today. I'm alive. I feel good. I'm not here to talk negative. I'm Waukegan. I always said it. It's my 3rd time coming here. Why? Because I need the attention of Tony Sanders. Mr. Sanders, What's up, man? You just got in? Illinois State Board? That's who I want to bring my attention to this school in Brookside. Just take a look how sad the hallways look. I went to school to pick up my son to deal with that situation I'm walking around. Nobody's laughing. Nobody's giggling. Nothing. Sad. But what am I here to say? This is my last time I'm going to be here. But one thing, we have a choice. We ain't all going to heaven.
Thank you, Mr. Corrales. Next names are Calvin Mathis, Rayon Edwards, and Victor Felix in that order. So, Mr. Mathis, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Felix. Whenever you start speaking, Mr. Mathis, your time will begin.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ewing, I was just thinking, have you ever been robbed? You ever had that emotion after you've been robbed? You're just angry. You want to fight. You know, and that's what I feel like these children are going through. They've been robbed. And then we turn around and blame them because they want to fight because they've been robbed. Been robbed of a good education, a good environment. That's what they're talking about here. These kids are in a bad environment. You can't learn if you're seeing a fight in the hallway, if you're subject to a fight. That's a bad environment. Just in general, you can't even get off the ground. And then, and worse than that, the data indicates that the kids, majority, look like to me, as we say, not college ready or that fancy terms we use, but they can't read to the aptitude of what they should be. Sir Ian, did you see that joy when he read? Boy, there wasn't no anger there. If you read, it brings joy. And we can't even do the basics here, but Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, we're not about just talking about problems. We're about talking about solutions. And a solution that I have is to build a better environment. Start there. The environment is bad. Now, I corrected you, Mr. Ewan, last time. You misunderstood me when I was talking about the building. And you were, and I thank you for that feedback. That's what communication is. At the end there, I stayed to the end. But I wasn't saying patch up the buildings. I'm saying tear them down. These buildings are too old for modern day things that are happening in the world. You're not going to be able to compete if you don't have the infrastructure and you're not teaching the kids what's in store for them in the coming years. The technology is changing faster than you can blink an eye. Where do you get the money at? That's the big one. That's the one you mentioned. You would love to have the money to do that. Well, the first thing you got to do is propose. Oh, the money is there. This is one of the biggest recruiting places there is from the federal government for the military. I'm sure it is in the state of Illinois. Ask them for a little money. You got the state, and of course you get my tax dollars. So be creative. Think outside the box. But that's what the problem. If you want to just start, the solution is tear these buildings down, build a whole new one. Look at what they're doing in North Chicago, right across City Hall. That's what I'm talking about. You got to have a good environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis.
I don't normally always think before I speak, but I've been kind of irritated all day, right? And I don't want to take it out on nobody. Mr. Grimes, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being willing to help BAM. But I say to y'all, we pay BAM too much money for them to be disturbing our teachers asking for help. Remember, they was the professionals. They don't know how to recruit no kids in the building where it's kids everywhere. You telling me they can't recruit them? Are you kidding me? That's bad, y'all. Mr. McIntyre says an attack on black women in the district. It's even one on our only black woman board member. And it's disturbing to me that I still haven't seen the statement being made that a board member is being named in a lawsuit when it's 7 board members. And don't tell me, oh, it's in the court and we got to let the lawyers handle it. Because some things is common sense. And so when we say that the community needs to stick together, that's kind of hard for y'all to say when y'all ain't even sticking together, because I ain't seen no support. We're talking about black women being attacked. Well, I don't know if anybody know it, and I ain't gonna even say no school, but at one of the middle schools, a Latina woman slammed a knife down in front of a black woman. Another black woman go and do a conversation, and she was suspended yesterday without pay. Mind you, this black woman has been in our district for over 10 years and not one write-up. You telling me there's no difference here? I'm sorry, y'all, but enough is enough. You seen the parent come up in here tonight very angry. I'm telling y'all some things that's happening and y'all not even paying attention. And as a guy that identified with the LGBTQ community, whatever letters it is, sometimes I'm confused, right? I'm okay with some things being taught, but we infringe on the rights of parents when we put that in the grade schools and them junior high schools. You ain't putting no statue up in there with no human hanging, with no thing hanging. They ain't able to see that. We took church out of the schools for a reason, because there was a difference of opinions. Y'all better be mindful. I'm telling you what I know. You're going to open the door for something that you're not even ready for.
That's right.
We don't have social workers, y'all, because you're not paying enough money. And the ones we got, all of them ain't even qualified. We need help.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. And is the correct title Alderman-elect Felix?
Yes,
all
that
right,
is correct.
Congratulations, sir. And whenever you start talking, your time will begin.
Okay. So today I'm representing a non-profit organization called Community Outreach Waukegan. We're actually going to have a job fair this weekend on Saturday. And the reason I wanted to mention it today is because we're going to have 6 flags. So they hire 15 plus, which is good because not all of our children do sports. Let's keep them busy, make sure they're out of the streets, especially in the summer. And Starbucks is going to be there as well, so we're going to be offering jobs. They're going to be offering jobs as well. So part of going against gang violence and let's keep our kids busy. Please take them. They're going to be offering jobs for the youth. Also adults. They're going to be offering jobs for adults, for people that need employment. So I want to make sure I mention that. We also, at Community Outreach Waukegan, we also have a youth group that helps our teens develop. We take them to the coroner's office. They actually help organize these job fairs, and they get the ability to speak to business owners and develop themselves as young students. And this is for anyone, any color, it doesn't matter. English, Spanish, it's for the community. I did want to mention that Brandon mentioned how can we get more involved with our organizations that are currently there. There's a lot of organizations that are doing a lot of good things. I did want to mention a few like Angels Boxing Academy. I was a coach there before. They help the youth. Part of boxing is not learning how to fight, but also how to discipline yourself as a person not to fight. There is UMA centers. They do a lot of help. They help a lot with education as well, with people that are not going to be able to graduate. They'll help them get their high school diploma. And also for the Hispanic community that don't have the time to teach their kids Spanish, they also offer Spanish classes, because we don't want to make sure that they don't forget the language. Also Vertical Encounter, they're a church in Waukegan that also have a lot of programs, especially for the youth, keep them busy. Community Outreach Waukegan also, you guys are able to reach out for us for any kind of violence, school violence, and outside of violence, because we help out with that as well. Our number is 877-523-0061. I am running for alderman in the 4th Ward, so feel free to reach out to me. My name is Victor Felix. One of the things that a simple fix in our community is that if you see a light bulb that is not working in your community, please let us know, let me know. Easy fix. Lighting helps prevent against violence as well as if visibility is out there. So again, thank you. And reach out to me at Community Outreach Waukegan.
Right now.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. Next 3 names are Clyde, these are the final names on the list: Clyde McLemore, Danella Villarreal, and Brother Blanks. In that order. I think Clyde left. Mr. McLemore left. So Ms. Villarreal and Brother Blanks. Time will begin whenever you start speaking, Ms. Villarreal.
Señora, es típico que no respondan. Dile lo mismo de mí. Tienen miedo de la verdad. I will not apologize. John Lewis said, speak up, speak out, get in the way, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. A veces tienen que ser ruidoso y impactante, hacer ruido. Continúa fallando este distrito en liderazgo.
Can we pause?
Tus datos
Ms. Villarreal?
no son exactos.
Ms. Villarreal?
Los estudiantes de hablan por el edificio no están en las clases.
Ms. Villarreal, if you need, I didn't know if you were going to be translating. If you want to do your remarks totally in Spanish, I would then bring up a translator and you would get 6 minutes. So are you going to do self-translation and get that all in 3 minutes, or were you going to do your entire remarks in Spanish? That's why I stopped the clock.
Translate.
Okay. So if we can get 6 minutes on the clock, and if we can have a translator come to the podium, please. And Ms. Villarreal, I know you have written remarks, so I'm going to ask that you start from the top so you get the full time.
A veces tienes que ser ruidoso y impactante, hacer ruido.
Sometimes you have to make noise and be impactful to make noise.
Continúa fallando en este distrito en liderazgo.
The district keeps failing in leadership.
Tus datos no son exactos.
Your data is not exact.
Los estudiantes deambulan por el edificio, no en clase.
Your students are throughout the building, not in classes.
Algunos de ellos son los mismos todos los días.
Some of them are the same students every day.
La asistencia no lo mostrará porque se cambia en una tardanza.
The assistants will not show that because it is changed into a tardy.
Hay una falta de expectativas y consecuencias y se nota cuando son los mismos estudiantes mismos estudiantes todos los días. Pedimos ayuda, no llega.
There is a lack of expectations and consequences, and it is noted when it is the same students every day. We do ask for help, but it doesn't come.
Los maestros son acusados todo el tiempo, insultados y amenazados.
The teachers are always being threatened all of the time. One moment. Insulted and threatened.
No estamos seguros en nuestros propios estacionamientos y pasillos.
We are not safe in our places and in our hallways.
Los estudiantes vienen a mí para contarme sobre peleas que pasan despercibidas y me dicen que tienen miedo.
The students come to me to tell me about the fights that are not looked upon, and they tell me that they are scared.
Hay peleas todo el tiempo. Esto los estresa y les causa ansiedad.
There are fights going on all the time. This causes stress and causes anxiety.
Los estudiantes están vapeando en las clases. ¿Cómo sigues afirmando que te importa?
The students are always vaping in the classes. How can you affirm that this is important to you?
Hablas mucho, no haces muchas cosas. Los maestros están dando calificaciones y no se están aprendiendo habilidades. Es vergonzoso.
Let's see. Oh, you talk a lot, but you don't do a lot of things. The teachers are giving grades, but they are not learning skills. It's very embarrassing.
Lo que también es vergonzoso es la discriminación.
What is also very embarrassing is the discrimination.
Soy un... No, I'm gonna skip that. Desde que llegaste, quitaste la administración, los maestros y la disciplina, has perpetuado el estado actual. Vamos a tener un gran plan, uno que, en pocas palabras, es el mismo que teníamos antes de que llegaras aquí.
Since you arrived here, you have removed the administration, the teachers, and the discipline. You have perpetuated the actual state.
Mientras tanto,
we will have a great plan, one which in few words will be the same that we had before you had come here.
Mientras tanto, después de que te vayas, quedarán nuestros estudiantes y personal después de tus consecuencias.
However, even after you leave, what will be left behind will be our students and staff after your consequences.
Por favor, vota el 4 de abril, 1, 2 y 4. Necesitamos un cambio.
Please vote on April 4th, 1, 2, and 4. We need a change.
So I say to you, don't give up. Don't give up on the things that have great meaning to you. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Stand up for what you believe in, because we are one people, one family, the human family. We all live in one house, the American house, the world house. We are black, we are white, Hispanic, Asian American, Native American. We are one people. John Lewis.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Final name on the list is Brother Blanks.
Brother Blanks, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, sometimes referred to as BAM. And I hear a lot of people say BAM, and that's not to be confused for the becoming a man that is in the school district. This is Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. Just wanted to make that clear. Also, Mr. Grimes, I heard you speak of the faith-based initiative. The faith-based council. I think one of the solutions, as we speak of solution, is to, I don't know what happened to it, let's start it back up. Let me know what you need to support to make that happen. Because it was working, it was effective. Last but not least, I stood here at this mic 4 months ago, and I brought it to everybody's attention about the issues that was going on in the issues that was going on in the Human Resource Department. At that particular time, I named the head of the department. I'll refrain from doing that at this point in time. However, at that time, I asked you guys, and I asked you all to seriously take a look into the issues at the Human Resource Department. Apparently, we still have issues there. So today, I'm not asking you all to take a look into it. Superintendent, board members, I'm demanding on black abolition. I'm demanding on behalf of Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. We're demanding a change, immediate change, at the top of the Human Resource Department. We will not take no for an answer on that. Too many problems been happening. So I asked you 4 months ago. I'm standing here tonight. We're still hearing issues on that. So apparently, the only way that issue is going to be solved is that there's a change at the top in the Human Resource Office. There's no taking no on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Blanks. This concludes our public comment. I do thank you for all of those remarks. It was lengthy, but it also underscores the amount of interest and the care from the community. I do want to say that you were heard. One thing that I also want to repeat, as a board member has often reminded me, is one of the other things John Lewis said is you yell so loud I don't hear what you're saying. And so I think oftentimes we need to talk to each other, because what I know from every person that sits on this board is they do care. I've served with these individuals, most of which for at least 2 years, some more. So we all want to see solutions, and we want to see this district changed and for the better. So the superintendent took studious notes, and I'm sure that we will be coming back to address these issues. So thank you for all of those who spoke. It is 9 o'clock. We do have important information to get through. What I'm going to do is try and ask, because I did not receive any real questions outside of some communication things. So I'm hoping, Board of Education, that we're able to get through the business of the board, because we do not have a very extensive agenda. So there are no academic items. We have the consent agenda under item operations. Any board member can vote on any item separately. Are there any letters that we'd like to hold out? And I do apologize. I did get one question. So, Ms. Wisner.
I don't want to hold any questions out. I just would like to see that when the COIs come in, that the name on the COI matches the name of the organization. It's not good practice that they don't.
Could you tell us the COI?
Certificate of insurance.
Of insurance, right.
Yes, we're asking for certificates of insurance, and I know as a businesswoman that if I don't have all my T's crossed and I's dotted, they will not let us in that building to deliver a package. So we need to have those those organizations make sure they have everything aligned.
Perfect. So if we're not holding any of those items out, then we are looking for the approval for items 11A through E. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as it is presented.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Motion by Ms. Hannah, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Seeing as there were no questions, roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, items approved, motion carries. I'll read those into the record. 11A, approval of facility rental waiver request for Jocelyn. B, approval of facility rental waiver request for Community Outreach Waukegan. C, approval of ADA signage purchase and installation. D, approval of purchase of teacher desks for Jack Benny Middle School. And E, approval of purchase of cafeteria tables for Lion Magnet School. We have item 13A, personnel for 3/14/2023.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirement, and accept the resignations, leave of absence as found on schedules F997, L944, G655, and N796.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve this item as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We now have 16A, the ratification of the first processing of March 2023 board request manual check payments and Old National insurance payments for the period of February 22nd, 2023 through March 7th, 2023.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first processing of board bills for February 2023 and manual check request payments and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of February 22 through 2023 through March 7, 2023. The accounts payable board February 8, 2023 through February 21st, 2023. Payments total $1,462,970.40. The manual check request payments for the period of February 22nd, 2023 through March 7, 2023 total $572,664.40. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of February 22nd, 2023 through March 7, 2023 total $2,122,755.97.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Riddle, I'll make a motion that we approve the item as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. I am going to ask, unfortunately, that we, do you have a superintendent's report?
I do.
Yeah, it's 9:10. What was,
It's on special ed, one of the indicators, so Dr. Buckles is going to present, but if you want to wait, we can.
because I know we asked for that updated report at our student achievement, I am going to ask that we hold.
And presented at the student achievement.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So we have those three items. We do have our information item. The FOIA report is there for review. We do have old business. These are second readings. We did get some community feedback, but we did not get any board member questions.
I gave comments.
You gave comments. Were Ms. Gonzalez's comments implemented, or were you looking for direction?
Ms. Vanderbrook gave me feedback.
There were not changes that were made to the policies based on the comments. I did explain to Ms. Gonzalez why the language was what the language was. So at this point, I don't know, Ms. Gonzalez, if you are still requesting further modification in those policies. That can be discussed with the board, and we'll take the direction of the board.
So, Ms. Gonzalez, for the entire board, what were your recommended changes? Entire board and community, what were your recommended changes?
For 6026, the CFS interviews, I had asked if we could consider language around providing interpreters or anything related to translation services. General Counsel's feedback was that, you know, that our translation services aren't specific to the language around DCFS interviews. I would kind of push back on that, but yeah. If there was some way that we could communicate to the agencies that are requesting to meet with students that they have a disability, that they have a, you know, they only understand sign language, or they're Spanish speakers, or, you know, Tagalog, like whatever the case may be, in case that, you know, they may not know.
Right.
Obviously, that's not the responsibility solely of the district, but of the agency requesting to meet with the student. But that was one of my comments. And then the second suggestion that I had made was around immediately notifying the parent if the parent in question, or is not a subject in question in relation to the investigation. And then that raised issues in regards to, you know, alerting adults that may be in the student's life who are abusive or negligent. But I think if a third party is taking a student out of the classroom, a guardian needs to know. From my perspective, that's up to the discretion of the board.
That's right, though.
And I guess unless that guardian is the one that's named.
Right, and there's language around if it's not that person, yeah.
It's because that's, yeah, I won't belabor that point. So the request is that we look at adding language related to making sure that we inform DTF interviewers of students' language, either, I don't want to use the term disabilities, but language barriers. Is this the concurrence of the board that this is something that we would like included in the policy?
No, I would like to look at look at it, so we're not gonna approve it tonight, right?
I mean, again, Ms. Vandenbroek brought it back. We had one board member that made suggestions, so policy would dictate that we're looking for concurrence. So if the board is saying that this is something that we would like to incorporate, then it would come back as a third reading with those changes.
Yeah, I think I would like to look at it, and, because I concur with what Ms. Gonzalez is saying, you know.
So the only thing I can add is I've not been apprised that DCFS workers are not aware of that when it is applicable. The only thing I'm aware of, or that has ever come to my attention, is if they haven't been able to have an interpreter present with them for some point in time, but it's not been an issue in rescheduling those, to the best of my knowledge and belief.
So then there's little or limited risk to us adding it in the policy. Is that a?
I'd rather have it in there if we already do that.
The issue with putting it in the policy is if the individual who files the report does not know whether there is that communication limitation. Sometimes they come to the district without district staff making that call. I don't know the frequency, but that certainly can happen. So they just show up. And so what I don't want to do is put our staff in a position of violating a board policy, potentially, when they don't have that information. I do believe, and if any of the administrators have any further information, please speak up, that I've not heard that there are any issues that have been occurring in the building with the ability to communicate and get the interview information they need with the students. So that would just be my caution.
But I mean, under rules and regulations, that would be able to be incorporated. Okay, you know, I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying, and furthermore, DCFS is somewhat they're limited anyway in dealing with things that go on in the schools, even though I don't agree with that, but it could go in under the rules and the regulations, and you know, so you know, to take the onus off the staff,
right?
But it's still incorporated into the content of that policy.
And for the sake of time, I think what Ms. Gonzalez is saying is we speak through policy, and so it can go in the regs. That is 100% appropriate, Ms. Hannah. But we want to make sure that the will of the board is reflected through policy. At this point, we have the recommendation. We do have, I know Ms. Hannah and Ms. Gonzalez said that they would agree. I will just get consensus, Mr. Riddle.
Wait, can I get clarification of what the recommendation is? The recommendation that's being asked is to clarify the policy that we notify DCFS if there is a language
if we can't
consideration.
own it, yeah. If there's liability issues of owning it, they shouldn't be informed that these are the needs of our students.
And even before that, I mean, if we are going to deal with DCFS, okay, these are our students, okay, and we should set forth what that third party can and cannot do in the school with our students. And so to basically send out a memo to DCFS and let them know that this is what we're going to do. That's not science.
Ms. Wozniak?
How often is DCSF coming into the district? Once a week? Once a month?
I don't have that information.
And these are interviews, so these aren't necessarily
Could you
related
give
to
me that
just
information?
Yeah, these aren't just related to
I don't think they heard
school-related events, right? So the interview may be taking
Oh,
place.
I know. I understand what
Understood.
I understand that they, but are they coming? I'd like to know how often this happens.
So that is a like to know if we can generate that report, and we can talk about that. Okay. So yeah, we can look into it. Yep. Got you.
You know, we're still discussing this, right?
I'm looking for
Final thoughts.
consensus. So if
Okay.
either support bringing it back or no,
Yeah,
let's
why
leave
can't
as
we
is.
can bring it back.
It's not
Maybe we
bringing it at. I'm looking at consensus, Ms. Hannah,
Oh.
to instruct Ms. Vanderbroek.
Oh, I
Because if
see.
there's not a majority that believes that this should be added, we don't want to instruct staff to expend the time.
Say add it.
Yeah, Board President, I hate to mention this, but there was a community member that had some critique of this, and I looked through what those recommendations were. In that very last line about check-in, she had a question on the form. Ms. Vanderbroek, it says on the very last line there that on a form to be provided by the Office of the General Counsel. Do you know where I'm talking about? That last paragraph on check-in.
Yes,
And she said that we
that's
should
a
strike
form
that.
that
Do we have that form? Is it available in the district?
the form that we have that's being referenced there, I believe. Wait a moment, make sure I'm talking about the right form.
Okay, right at check-in at the very
What
last.
page, please?
It
First
said-
page. First page.
Check in the last line. If student is to be interviewed, not prearranged, principal is to be notified.
There may be a written certification that information is necessary shall be requested of the investigator on a form to be provided by the Office of General Counsel. That was the part that
Yeah,
she was
okay.
recommending to strike.
So
If that form-
what we have in place is a process whereby when they come in for investigations, DCFS investigators and staff are concerned about protecting their confidentiality because of the sensitive nature and sometimes very emotional nature of the business that they do. So we have an agreement with them that we have a running list of who are authorized individuals from DCFS that we check their IDs against.
Right.
The form that we're talking about is if we are going to release student record information. The School Student Record Acts would say we can do that without parent consent as long as they certify they need it for their official business. And that it is tied to that official business. So that's what that form is, and they do have that form.
And you have that form?
Yes.
The schools have that form?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to make sure. All right, then I have no issue with this.
So
So I'm fine.
with the current policy, are you agreeing with Ms. Gonzalez's recommendation?
I'm fine with Mrs. Well, actually, I guess I'm more with Kathy. I would have thought that we should leave it on the agency if they, but this puts the pressure on the school then to notify if they have a student that needs translation or is disabled, and you would have thought that DCFS would bring the proper, credentials. I don't know if we should lay it on the school. When we put it in the policy, I think General Counsel was saying then now we're laying that responsibility on the school to do that.
That's
Check
why
it.
it goes in the rules and regs.
Yes.
And not so much the policy.
Yeah, but
We
the
don't do
rules
it,
and
but we
regs, it's
notify
in the rules and regulations.
But the rules and regs still apply to staff and are still looked at in terms of staff compliance with the directions and procedures.
I guess I don't want to get staff in trouble if we have a special needs student or we need something, and the investigator comes in and, oh my gosh, this student only speaks Spanish, you didn't tell us that. And now we've got district not following policy.
Okay, but
So
that's
let me get consensus versus debating this
Yeah.
right now. So, Mr. McBride, Mr. McBride.
Well, to me, it's a no-brainer that if somebody from DCF comes in here and we got a student that has some kind of disability, especially let's just say bilingual, we should have somebody to sit in that room with DCFS to help them interpret.
Which we wouldn't be doing, Mr. McBride, but we would be notifying the agency that they need somebody.
That they need to do.
Because our staff might not be available, and our staff doesn't have like the
Well,
translation
what's
capacity.
the problem with putting what's the problem with putting it in the policy? But before they get here and we know that, we just call them and tell them.
So you
That's what I'm
agree?
saying.
So you
That's what
agree
I'm
with
saying.
Ms. Gonzalez's
Yeah,
recommendation?
just let them know, and then they should take care of it.
right.
Yeah.
See, I
So-
guess I go with Kathy's remark,
W-
General Counsel.
I just say it because we know our students the best, or we should, and we just say, hey, keep this in mind, that you're like talking to our student in this capacity. You need to be prepared. That's it.
If they don't have one, we should be able to accommodate them anyway.
Right.
Okay, so pause.
yes.
I want to have a clarification. Go ahead, Ms. Vanderbroek, if there's something you'd like to add.
So I was asked to make a clarification. DCFS comes to us sometimes when we call. When
Mhm.
we call, I suspect, I don't have firsthand knowledge,
Well, I
that
don't wanna
we are
suspect,
making
though.
that known, right? That the student speaks Spanish.
Perfect. So let's
As
add
long, right?
I don't want to suspect, though. I don't want to suspect. That's the
But there are many times DCFS comes and we haven't
And we-
contacted them.
Yeah.
And when that is learned, and I do believe they're asking and are saying they need an interpreter, do you have an interpreter? If they let us know ahead of time that they're coming, which is our preference. And our preference is also,
kill it.
if it's not an immediate investigation, that these interviews are taking place outside of the school day, so that we're not interrupting instruction. So, you know,
So I think-
it is the board's, it's the board's
Why
discretion.
can't we
but-
just send a letter to them, letting them know that this is what we're gonna do? I mean,
It's not about the letter. I think right now what we want to do is just get the board consensus that we want to add it to the policy. So right
I
now,
want it added to the policy.
thank you, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Wozniak?
Yes,
No?
please add it to the
Yes,
policy.
okay. All right. Consensus. Thank you.
All right.
Yes. Yes. All right. So that is majority. So then we have 19B.
I have a comment to that
Third.
too. It was very small.
Go ahead. 19B. 6031 administering medication to students.
This one, toward the end of the policy, there's language around parents absolutely have, their primary care for the student. They can administer medication without us giving them permission per se, as the student's guardian. But there was language around if they're administering medication on school grounds, to have it be with the knowledge of the school nurse. And it was unclear whether the parent or the guardian has to notify the nurse and then do it, or
Yes.
have the help of the nurse or supervision of the nurse. So just to say, make the nurse aware that medication has been administered. So there's no, I think there was a verb or an adjective missing there. I don't know. An adverb, sorry.
It usually, historically, the parent would notify the nurse, and if the parent came in
Right.
to administer the medication, they would then go to the
Right.
nurse's office and
And
do
tell 'em.
it in the nurse's office. It's not
Oh,
like
okay.
they can go to the classroom or in the hallway.
Okay.
They have to go in the nurse's office.
Okay. Well, I think that needs to be specified there, because the way that it's written with knowledge of the school nurse, it made it seem like the school nurse has to be a part of it.
And so if
I
that's
don't really
what is
care, but-
operated in practice, I think we just are looking for clarity
Clarity.
around the language. If the current process, Ms. Vandenbroek, is that it be administered in the nurse's office? No.
I'll have to check with Ms.
Okay.
Stobbs. We weren't able to touch base. This inquiry came in yesterday, so.
Perfect. So that information has been provided. If there are no objections, we'll bring those both back for third readings. We have new business. This was policy 5201 related to curriculum, policy 5233 library material section. Due to the time, I do want to make sure we got this on the agenda, Mr. Hinojosa, and this was to address some of the comments and recommendations that have been put forth by our student board member related to exploring upgrades to this policy, which would address things similar to anti-book banning in District 60 and language around how we make sure that we are inclusive of our LGBTQ plus communities. And so we do understand the difference of opinions on the issues. My stance is that we want to be reaffirming to all students, and we do have LGBTQ plus students in our schools, and so we want to make sure that we are providing diverse curriculum and are putting that out explicitly. So that is my opinion. I cannot say that that is the opinion of the board, but the way that we speak is through policy, and because our student board member was the one who made the recommendation, again, I don't see this student board member role as symbolic. This is supposed to be us being reflective and listening to and including the voice of our student board member. There was a recommendation to consider putting these in, what was it, Ms. Gonzalez helped me out, there was maybe a recommendation to run this through the
Oh, the Equity Advisory Council?
Equity Advisory Council Committee, and we can talk about what this looks like. But I did want to make sure that we were calling it out to make sure our student board member as well as community members know that we are bringing that issue forward. I did want to have some conversation, but due to the time, I'm going to ask that we, Mr. Hinojosa actually has drafted want me to say it or no?
My name. Where?
Yeah. So I think at our next board meeting we can.
A bug.
Where is it at, Ms. Adams?
Ugh, yuck.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you, Miss Lindsay. All right. So we have that. We are now at board member time.
It's not quite dead. It's not dead.
All right. So we are at board member time. What I want to do is I'll start this way with Ms. Gonzalez.
I'm gonna just go down the line of meetings that I've had that I think have just been very influential to me the past 2 weeks. A lot of what I've been talking about with different folks is often related to invisible work. I'm not a very loud person. I'm not extroverted. I can be if I'm required to be. But a lot of board work isn't sexy. It's not. It's literally going through things and giving instructions so that people do what they need to do, and that's what I care about the most up here. But it's not like we publicize those things. So, on the 1st we had our Equity Advisory Council meeting. Later that Monday, the following Monday last week, I met with Victor to talk about his policy recommendations. The very next day, we had our anti-bullying committee meeting, and we went through examples of what could qualify as bullying or what we need more information on to the cases that we were looking at. The next day after that, we had our Lakes Division meeting and what would have been our Waukegan Schools Foundation meeting. And then the next Thursday was our PTAC meeting. And then Friday morning, before I started work, I did my first board reprimand with a student who has incredible potential. Mr. Dupuy would say that, and all of the people who were part of that meeting. But that moved me in such a way that made me realize that, we really just need to connect with students. And the more that we talk at them instead of with them, and we scold them and we yell at them, which is part of the reason why we were so upset this past week with some of the communication that went out from the schools, it's like you're only going to provoke them more. That doesn't condone any of the actions that the students have been making, and I don't at all wish the culture of the school to remain the way that it is. Things need to change, but we need to meet them halfway. And if we treat them like adults and talk to them like adults, I think that our students would perform and we'd see a change. Just yesterday, I met with some old teachers. I won't say no old, previous teachers, former teachers, and they talked about how this transition has been hard for them. They've gone through so many phases of restructuring, and they keep reiterating, as well as other staff, that communication is the most difficult thing. And it's like, well, if we can't even communicate internally and externally with our partners, how do we expect to reach our kids, that are learning how to communicate themselves with older adults? So I just want to put that out there, that we can't respond to everything. That doesn't mean that we don't care and that we're not hearing you guys out. It's just that some things have to get done, and that part is the gritty work, and we need to do a little bit of everything in order to get this done. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I mean, we've done more than volunteer our time, and I've put myself in the running for certain things that just haven't gotten done, and I want to trust that the administration can handle it. But there's also people that want to help, and I don't think that we should be butting heads if people are giving feedback that really needs to happen in the schools. That's all.
Mr. Riddle.
Right. As Mrs. Gonzalez says, we've been busy as a board. Many of us are on committees, different committees. Ms. Hannah and I are on the Wellness Committee as one of the committees we're on. We've had meetings just about every Monday. We met on the 6th of March. We met again this past Monday, yesterday. I wanted to thank our student board member, Victor Hinojosa, who I reached out to him because our board felt that our Wellness Committee needed some student representation. So I reached out to him, and the very next day he was able to get me not just 2 names. We wanted 1 student from each campus. He was able to get me 4 names, 2 names plus 2 alternates, in case those students weren't interested. And very quickly we reached out to those students, Ashley Velasquez at Washington campus and Mr. Espinoza from Brookside campus, and both of them readily agreed to be on our Wellness Committee, and they have been a great asset to us. Let me thank you very much for your help in finding those students, because the topic that we have been working on for many weeks here, for a few months, has been what is the Wellness Committee, what is one of the most important things that we should be doing this year, and we felt it was vaping. That it's been brought up in the community, it's been brought up by students. We know it's a big problem in our school and in many schools across the country. And it was, having these 2 students on our committee was also just reinforcing what we already knew. And we reached out to the health department to see if they could help us with an educational program. They do have a program, but unfortunately they're not able to get it to us probably this year. And their program focuses only on tobacco, vaping, and we know that many of our students are not just vaping with tobacco. Unfortunately, they're vaping with marijuana. So, you know, and I've been in the schools, and other board members have been in the schools, and we know that the alarms go off in the bathrooms. Children are vaping. We asked our student board members, our student wellness committee members, what can we do about this? So they were a great help to us. One of the things that the committee is looking at right now, there's only a few months left of the year, but just to get students thinking about this and have some education and maybe not make it too difficult, the committee is looking at having a poster board contest, a poster contest, where students would not only talk about it, but design some posters, you know, that would be put up. So anyway, that's what we're talking about right now, whether it actually happens. But it gets students talking about it, and it would also get them, you know, designing something, you know, that they could be put up in the school to encourage others not to do this. And of course, you know, one of the ideas is to work with the younger kids, because some of the high school kids are unfortunately already, you know, hooked on these drugs. And we are looking at bringing in NICASA and some of the agencies that can work more intensively with the students that really need it. So that's just one committee that I'm on that's working on something. But again, thank you for getting the students, volunteers who are working with us. We're meeting on Zoom. Like I said, we're pursuing this topic and seeing what we can do this year to help our students that have issues with this, or students that are maybe thinking going in that direction. Also attending the Lake Center, the board president, myself, and Ms. Gonzalez were there, and the speaker, this featured speaker, was Courtney Orzel, who is the Associate Director of Professional Development for the Illinois Association of School Boards. She's been a superintendent, she's been a teacher for many years, she's now on that, and her topic was very well presented, and she talked about districts like ours. She worked in a district that had a lot of problems, a lot of concerns, and a lot of negativity. And she told us how she was able, with the help of the students and the teachers and everyone, to turn that district around. It wasn't an easy job. It took many years. In fact, when she went into it, people told her, don't go there. It's toxic. And she said she really wanted a job like that. She was going to take it up. And she said what she did is she elicited the help of everyone in the community and let them tell their stories. In any district, there's always great things going on, And so what she did is she let them tell their stories. And she said this is so important when you have students telling their stories. In fact, she even brought a student in when she started her presentation. And she said, doesn't that help when you have a student talking about something exciting, something that they're doing in their school? And she said, positivity breeds positivity as well. Negativity breeds negativity. And so she turned that district around. We don't have enough time to talk to you about all of that she told us about, but some of these ideas I think we want to bring into our district, because she said every district has great things going on. And what happens is as you start telling the story of things that are happening, the tone, the atmosphere of the district starts to change. And so she's a resource we could use. She's with the IASB now. We could reach out to her. So those are two things that I attended recently that I thought was really, could be helpful to our district. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Mr. McBride?
Pass.
Pass. Ms. Hannah?
Couple things. First, I want to just say my condolences go out to Caitlin's family and her school community at Oakdale. And it's just an unfortunate tragedy for those students. And I was sitting here watching I don't know if she was a parent or a staff member, but she was almost in tears just sitting here. And so I'm glad that our crisis team was there, and I certainly hope that just because it happened on Friday and the crisis team was there Monday, I hope that it's not over, because grief, there's no specific days, times, or whatever that you grieve. Anyway, also, I'm concerned about the vaping that students are doing. I am concerned because I don't know what has happened to the schools adhering to the law. And the law says that there should be no tobacco products on school property. Drug-free schools. And so, why are we okay with just casually saying, oh, well, the kids are vaping. Oh, the kids are in the bathroom vaping. Well, the kids need to understand that they're breaking the law. We and the posters, that was one thing when I was talking about that at the Wellness Committee.
Yes.
But I also was talking about, and you have heard me, Superintendent has heard me talk about getting visual posters in the schools. The posters are already made up. And it was just a supplement for the students to do it. But we need to put posters in our schools that are positive for the students, that tell the students that they cannot do this. I don't know if maybe the teachers can tell me if there's still the teachers' store where they used to get the posters and so forth to put in the school buildings, to put up around the schools. I go to the affluent schools and I see posters of all kinds throughout their schools, and the only thing we have up in our schools are the walls. So we need to be creative, okay? But my main thing with this stuff, I don't know what we need to do, people, because it's against the law for the kids to have tobacco products in school. Now, whatever we have done, okay, I think we need to look at it again to let the students know you cannot have this in school. You know, I mean, we're looking at it as, oh, well, this is just something that we have going on. No, they're breaking the law. And we need to let them know that. Maybe that would stop them. You know, and to walk into school and be hit in the face with marijuana smells and stuff like that. Come on now. The other thing, you know, we downsized our staff some years ago. And well, I think that we made a mistake at doing that, because now we're at the point where we're having to outsource people to come in to fill the places that staff was removed. And there's I can't remember the term, staff reduction, I guess you could say. Oh, whatever it is, okay? But now we're at the place now where we're outsourcing. And that's one thing that I vowed when I sat on this board, that I will not outsource our work here in District 60, because we have people that has made their livelihood within our school district. And so I think we need to relook at that, okay? And lastly, the gentleman talked about tearing down buildings and rebuilding them. If we could do that, man, that would be one of the best things in Waukegan that could happen. However, the cost of just one building would be over $100 million. Just one building. And so we have to do what we can do with the monies that we have now. And it's not about us having the money, it's about where we're spending the money. And if we are being creative in spending our money, it's not going to last forever. And we're going to decrease our budget, okay, back down to pre-COVID soon. And so we need to be careful. But other than that, you all have a good evening, and thank you all for coming, talking, and all of those listening. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Wozniak?
Well, I'm excited to announce that the Waukegan Schools Foundation had a stellar response to our scholarship applications. It's 144 pages of reading that I have to do sometime soon. It's like over 20 applications that have come in, and I'm really excited about this, and I hope to announce that in a couple weeks. Thanks.
Wow, terrific. Awesome. I do want to say thank you to the community that came out. I think you heard it, there's a lot of work that is happening. We need to do a better job of communicating as a board, maybe some of the things that we are doing. What I will say is that these issues, as they pop up, are not being ignored. And one of the things we have to figure out is how to be more effective at how and when we communicate. I think one of the things that, and again, we attended the Lakes dinner, but nothing was said that we as a Board of Education haven't said before. And that's related to the fact that one of them, and we have amazing secretaries, so I always want to preface that because people oftentimes misquote me and what it is that I'm trying to say, is when our parents and our community members come into our buildings, that front office staff, those safety workers, those teachers, that is our first line of defense. I work in retail banking. I deal with individuals that come into multiple branches that call the call center, and there's a level of customer service, respect, and expectation that I have for each and every single one of my employees. Is because at the end of the day, what I know being a credit union is that we are member owned. What I know about working and being a part of public education is that we are taxpayer owned. And so as we talk about how students are treated, I 100% understand and empathize and sympathize with how our staff are treated. Me and Mr. Riddle both sit on the Zero Tolerance Committee that have been having conversations. And one thing that we do know is that our teachers are under pressure and they don't have 6 weeks or 2 more months to discuss an issue. They need solutions now. They're telling us they need solutions. The incidents that we heard where teachers are snapping is not normal, right? That is not something that I've experienced on the Board of Ed in the 6 years that I've been there. And so I do want to say is that we all should be leading with respect, and that we do want to make sure that even though we are frustrated, even though we may be tired, even though individuals that are in those offices have a very tough job, that we're making sure that our families feel welcome, that we're making sure that our students feel welcome. And the only way we can do that is by making sure that our teachers feel supported. So it's not an either or, it's a both and. And so I just wanted to state that for the record. I appreciate everybody for coming out. We did ask, there was not a real legal update. It's now 9:51. So with that, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak.
Second.
Second by Mr. Riddle. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any nays? You can stay. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.